The cub had no idea anything was wrong. That is the part that stays with you. Not the attack, not the dust, not the noise that came after. Just that moment before, when a small lion cub was wandering through dry yellow grass in Tanzania's Ruaha Plains, completely at ease, tail flicking, nose low to the ground, chasing whatever smell caught his attention. He was maybe 3 months old. Still round in the face. Still carrying those faint spots that young cubs are born with. Still small enough that the tall grass reached above his head in places. His name, given by the research team that had been monitoring his pride for 2 years, was Keto. Keto had wandered from the pride's resting area during the late morning hours, which is when lions are usually at their most relaxed. The adults sleep hard during the heat of the day, and young cubs take advantage of that. They push boundaries, explore, test the world in small ways. His mother, a lioness the team called Safi, was resting under a wide acacia tree about 200 meters away. Close enough in normal circumstances. Not close enough for what was about to happen. The wild dog pack had been moving through that section of the plains since early morning. There were 11 of them, a tight, experienced pack that the research team had been tracking separately for months. They moved low and fast through the grass, spread out just enough to cover ground without losing each other. Their ears never stopped moving, constantly adjusting to pull in sound from every direction. Their noses worked constantly. These dogs did not stumble into opportunities. They read the land carefully and found them. The youngest dog in the pack, a lean male the team called Dash, picked up the cub's scent first. He slowed. His body dropped slightly. His ears pushed forward and locked onto a point in the grass ahead. The dog beside him noticed the change immediately and slowed too. Within seconds, without any sound passing between them, the entire pack had shifted from moving to watching. That is what makes wild dogs different from almost every other predator on these plains. They do not need to communicate out loud. They read each other the way some people read a room. Keto was still unaware. He batted at a grasshopper, missed, tried again. He made a small sound, a soft chirping call that lion cubs use to stay connected with their mothers. Safi did not respond. She was deep in rest, her breathing slow, her eyes closed. The pack heard the chirp clearly. Dash took one careful step forward. Then another. His paws touched the ground so lightly they barely disturbed the dust beneath them. The grass moved only slightly as he pushed through it. Behind him, the rest of the pack began spreading out in both directions, slowly, quietly, with a patience that felt almost deliberate. Keto looked up. He looked up but saw nothing. The grass was still. The air carried only the dry, familiar smell of the plains. Keto stood for a moment, ears up, eyes scanning slowly from left to right. Then a butterfly crossed his line of sight and he forgot everything. He twisted around and chased it 3 steps before it flew too high and he lost interest. Dash moved closer. The pack had fully split now, 4 dogs working around the left side, 4 pushing quietly to the right, and 3 holding the center with Dash. It was not something they planned in that moment. It was simply what they did, a formation built into them through years of hunting together. They closed the space between themselves and the cub the way a net closes, slowly and from every direction at once. Keto chirped again for Safi. The sound was soft, almost casual. He was not scared yet. He simply wanted to know she was nearby. 200 meters away, under the acacia tree, Safi shifted slightly in her sleep but did not wake. The heat pressed down heavily on the plains. A vulture circled somewhere far above. The grass moved in a slow, low wave as a warm breeze passed through. Dash stopped 6 meters from the cub. He was fully visible now, standing in a small gap between 2 grass patches, his eyes locked on Keto without blinking. The cub finally saw him. His entire body stiffened in one instant, all 4 legs locking, tail dropping straight down. He had never seen a wild dog this close before. He had no experience to pull from, no memory that told him exactly what this was. But something inside him, something older than experience, told him clearly that this was wrong. He chirped again, this time sharper and louder. Dash did not move. He simply stood there watching, letting the cub's fear grow on its own. This is something experienced predators understand without being taught. Panic costs prey more energy than the chase does. The longer Dash waited, the more Keto's legs would shake, the more his breathing would tighten, the more likely he was to bolt in the wrong direction. Then the dog on the far left broke cover. It was not an attack, just a sudden appearance, stepping out of the grass and standing still. Keto spun toward it. Then a dog appeared on the right. Keto spun again. His chirps were coming fast now, sharp and desperate, nothing like the casual sounds from minutes ago. He was crying out for Safi with everything he had. She still did not wake. Dash stepped forward and Keto bolted. He ran hard, his short legs driving into the dry earth, his small body leaning forward with the effort. But 3 months old is 3 months old. His legs were not built for this yet. His balance was still new. He cut left, stumbled, caught himself, cut right. The pack exploded into a full run behind him. The chase lasted less than 30 seconds. That is all it took. 30 seconds between Keto running and Keto falling. His legs simply could not carry him fast enough or far enough. The pack did not even need to push hard. Dash reached him first, cutting diagonally across his path and forcing him to change direction. When Keto turned, 2 dogs were already waiting on that side. He spun back. More dogs. He had nowhere left to go. He stopped running and pressed himself low against the ground. It was an instinct, the same instinct that makes cubs freeze when their mothers carry them, dropping the body flat and going still. But it did not work here. The dogs circled him slowly, closing the gap from every side, their breath coming in short, sharp bursts from the sprint. Dust rose around them in a thin cloud. Keto's whole body trembled. His chirps had stopped completely. He was past the point of calling. He was just trying to survive the next few seconds. Dash bit down on his tail and pulled. Keto screamed. It was a sound that cut straight across the plains, high and piercing and nothing like the soft chirps from before. This was raw panic turned into noise, the kind of cry that carries a kilometer or more when the air is still. 2 dogs grabbed his sides. Another clamped onto his back leg. Keto twisted and clawed and screamed again, his small claws scraping uselessly against the hard dry earth. Under the acacia tree, Safi's eyes opened. She did not move slowly. She did not stretch or look around to figure out what she had heard. She was on her feet in a single motion, body already turning toward the sound before she was fully awake. Her ears locked onto the direction of Keto's cry. Her eyes went hard and flat. Every muscle in her body pulled tight at once. She roared. It was not a warning roar. It was not the kind lions use to mark territory or threaten rivals from a distance. It was something deeper and faster, a sound built entirely from the moment, from what her ears had just told her and what her body already knew. It shook the air around the acacia tree. Birds lifted from the branches above her without deciding to. The vulture circling high above banked away. The pack heard it. 3 of the dogs released Keto immediately and looked toward the sound. Dash held on for 1 more second, his teeth still locked, his body still pulling. Then the second roar came, closer already because Safi was moving and Dash let go. Keto lay on his side in the dust, sides heaving, one back leg stretched at a bad angle. He was breathing. He was bleeding from several places along his flank and shoulder. He could not stand up. The dogs had not left yet. They stood in a loose circle around him, watching the grass where the roar had come from, calculating how much time they had. They did not have much. Safi came through the grass like something had been unleashed. She was not running in a straight line. She was cutting angles, reading the sounds ahead of her, adjusting her path with every stride. Her paws hit the ground with a weight that sent small vibrations through the dry soil. Her tail was rigid behind her. Her eyes had locked onto the dust cloud rising above where the pack stood and she did not look away from it once. The dogs saw her before she reached them. 3 broke immediately, peeling away from the circle and sprinting in opposite directions without looking back. 2 more followed within seconds. That left 4 dogs still standing near Keto, including Dash. 4 dogs who had not yet decided whether the hunger was worth what was coming toward them. Safi answered that question for them. She hit the first dog so hard it left the ground completely. There was no pause, no warning, no moment of hesitation before contact. She simply arrived and the dog was gone, tumbling sideways through the air and landing in a heap 10 meters away. She did not stop to check on it. She was already turning toward the next one. Dash ran. The remaining 2 dogs ran with him, scattering in different directions, yelping as they went. Safi chased one of them for several strides before stopping. She turned back. Her chest was heaving. Dust coated her face and forelegs. A thin line of blood ran across her shoulder from a scratch she had not felt. She walked toward Keto. Her steps slowed as she got close. Her head dropped low. She could see him clearly now, lying on his side in the dirt, his small chest rising and falling in quick shallow bursts. His eyes were open and they found her immediately. He made a sound. Not the sharp, desperate cry from before. Something smaller and quieter, the kind of sound that only happens when the danger has passed and the body is finally allowed to feel how tired it is. Safi stood over him and began licking his face. She checked every wound slowly and carefully, her tongue moving across his fur with the same focused attention she had used when he was first born. Keto stayed still and let her. He was alive. But something about the way he was lying made Safi pause. His back leg was not moving right. Safi nudged it gently with her nose and Keto flinched. She nudged it again, softer this time, and he pulled it weakly toward his body. She stood over him for a long moment, reading him the way mothers read their young, not with words or tests but with a kind of attention that picks up everything. His breathing was steadying. His eyes were focused. But that leg was not taking any weight. She did the only thing she could do. She picked him up by the scruff the way she had carried him 100 times before, his small body going limp and cooperative the moment her teeth closed gently around the loose skin at the back of his neck. She turned and walked back toward the Pride, her steps slow and deliberate, adjusting her pace to keep him steady. The research team watching from their vehicle 200 meters away had not spoken in several minutes. What happened next is the part nobody expected. Dash came back. Not with the pack. Alone. He appeared at the edge of the grass about 40 meters from Safi, moving low and cautious, nothing like the focused aggression from earlier. He stopped when Safi saw him. She turned to face him fully, Keto still hanging from her jaws. Every muscle in her body tightened. Dash sat down. He did not advance. He did not make a sound. He simply sat in the dust at the edge of the grass and watched her. His sides were still heaving from the chase. A cut above his eye was bleeding slowly. He looked exhausted and beaten, and something else that was harder to name. Safi watched him for a long moment. Then she turned and kept walking. Dash stayed where he was until she disappeared into the shade of the acacia trees. Then he stood, turned, and walked back into the grass alone. The rest of his pack was long gone, scattered across the plains. He had nothing to return to immediately and nowhere urgent to be. The research team wrote in their notes that evening that they had no scientific explanation for why he came back. Some things that happen out on these plains do not fit neatly into any category. They just happen, and the land holds them quietly the same way it holds everything else. Without judgment. Without explanation. Without pause.